What is going on, everybody? It is Luke Bello with the Sideline Scoop, and today I wanted to talk about this MVP race because currently it seems like it is between Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, and we have 3 weeks left of the season. And honestly, right now, it seems like a pretty tight, pretty close race right now between both of these guys. And so in this video, I'm going to give my thoughts on the situation, sort of break down some stats, sort of both players' situations, and sort of give my thoughts on who I think should be MVP at the end of the season. Of course, we won't know for the next few weeks because you never know what could happen. I will be curious to hear your guys' thoughts as well, so, make sure you comment your opinions down below because honestly, I learned a lot from lots of your guys' comments, all this stuff, you guys say down there. I read most of the comments, and it's cool to see, sort of people's different takes on the situation, so I'll be curious to hear that down below. So first off, let's take a look at both these guys' stats, because of course, stats are a big part, of who finishes off as the MVP. So first off, when we take a look at yards, right now Mahomes does have more yards than Rodgers. He has 4,208 yards to Aaron Rodgers' 3,685 yards. But then if we take a look at touchdown to interception ratio, which I personally would think is more important than solely just yards, we have Patrick Mahomes has 33 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, and Aaron Rodgers has 39 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So as you can see there, obviously, Aaron Rodgers has thrown for 6 more touchdown passes and 1 less interception. And of course, last week, Patrick Mahomes threw 3 interceptions, so he took that total from 2 interceptions to 5 interceptions just in 1 week. And the consensus sort of seems to be, what most people are saying, is that they think that Aaron Rodgers may have moved ahead of Patrick Mahomes just because of him throwing 3 interceptions last week in 1 game, which really gives Rodgers, a leg up when you sort of take a look at that touchdown to interception ratio. And then if we take a look at passer rating, Patrick Mahomes has a 112.3 passer rating, and Aaron Rodgers has a 119.7 passer rating. So far, and sort of some of the key stats, Aaron Rodgers pretty much leads in all of them besides yards when you take a look at the stats that I just sort of showed you guys. And one other interesting stat I saw was the last quarterback to lead in touchdowns and passer rating was Tom Brady 10 years ago, and in that year he won the MVP. So of course there are still 3 weeks left of the season. Lots of things could change. You never know what could happen in the final 3 weeks of an NFL season. But so far, when you just take a look at stats, I would say personally, I think Rodgers' stats are, a little slightly more impressive than Mahomes' stats. Maybe just barely. Like, they're super, super, super close. So I think the other thing you have to take into account is the supporting cast of these guys and sort of their team in general. Because, of course, we're not sort of saying who is the best player, even though maybe MVP at times could be, who people just sort of think is the best player. But it's the most valuable player to their team. So let's take a look at that. So we got Patrick Mahomes, who, of course, is riding with Travis Kelce, who is, obviously the best tight end in the NFL. He has 1,250 yards. And Mahomes also has Tyreek Hill, probably, one of the most dangerous receiving threats in the NFL, and he has 1,158 yards. So the fact that Mahomes has 2 guys who are really at the top of their position, definitely very helpful to Mahomes. Of course, that doesn't take anything away from Mahomes, but he has some great weapons. And then we got Aaron Rodgers, who, coming into the season, we sort of have to remember what things were like coming to the season for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, because the media in general, sort of the consensus was, the Packers were 13-3 last year. They won lots of close games. They probably should have been more like 9-7, and so this year, the Packers probably aren't going to be that good. And actually, I found these odds from MVP odds for before week 1 of the NFL season. I tweeted it out this morning here on my Twitter. If you guys want to, see some more tweets from me, my Twitter username is Luke_Bella right there. But as you can see, players like Carson Wentz and Cam Newton were above Aaron Rodgers when it came to MVP odds. And now if you sort of would think about that, that's sort of laughable to think that Carson Wentz and Cam Newton, would be ahead of Rodgers in the MVP race. Because of course now with hindsight is 2020. Rodgers is obviously, probably had one of the best seasons of his career. And coming into this year with Matt LaFleur, coming into the second year, I thought that they would take a jump because, why would a team not take a jump when they've had a year under their belt? They're continuing to improve. And so I sort of thought that was what would happen, and that sort of has happened so far this season. So, of course, when we take a look at the Packers, of course the Packers have Davante Adams, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Sort of the knock on the Packers from, sort of the media, the consensus of the media was the Packers drafted Jordan Love. They shouldn't have drafted Jordan Love. That's what, they sort of thought. And, that's sort of up to your own opinion. Maybe it was a good decision. Maybe it wasn't. But they really wanted the Packers to pick up another wide receiver. And I think because the Packers were, lacking weapons, they thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to have a bad year. But obviously, Rodgers, I think, elevates any player that comes onto the team. You got Allen Lazard, you got Marcus Valdes-Scantling. And while those guys are, I think, pretty solid receivers, especially I love Allen Lazard. But those guys are good receivers, but I think Aaron Rodgers really elevates their play. And I think any player that comes to the Packers, gets elevated by a player like Aaron Rodgers. So I think that you could argue that I personally would say that overall, just sort of in a vacuum, I would think that the Chiefs' weapons are overall more talented than the Packers' weapons. Obviously, I think it's pretty close. I think that if you take away, Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, I think that it's a more even playing field. But the fact that Mahomes has Hill and Kelce, I may have to give a leg up to the Chiefs, even though, I love Devontae Adams, and I think, he's probably, personally, I like him better than Tyreek Hill. I'm a little biased, maybe just a little. But, even though I love the Packers receivers and I think they are great players, I may have to give a slight edge to the Chiefs, and I think that that's sort of the majority of, sort of people have this opinion. So there are two more things I wanted to cover before I say goodbye for this video. First off, I want to take a look at sort of both players' worst games. So, of course, we got Rodgers playing against the Buccaneers back in, was it week 3? I think it was week 3. Maybe not. But it was something like 10 weeks ago. It was a long time ago at the beginning of the season. Rodgers had a pretty bad performance. The entire Packers team did. He threw for 160 yards, 0 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, and finished with a 35.4 passer rating. And then we take a look at Patrick Mahomes. While he did throw 3 interceptions last week, which, may be considered his worst game of the season, he still finished with a 91.9 passer rating because he finished with 393 yards and 2 touchdown passes. So overall, I would say that Rodgers, obviously with that really bad performance versus the Buccaneers, if you sort of eliminate that, and if he would have played much better in that game, I think that he could be more of the front runner right now. But with that game in there, it definitely maybe hurts his odds a little bit. Obviously, it doesn't help him when you have a bad game like that. But when we take a look overall, Rodgers has only had 1 game in the entire season under 107 passer rating, while Mahomes has had 5 under 107 passer rating. So overall, I would say that Rodgers has been more consistent when it comes to passer rating, as we saw, from that passer rating statistic outside of that one performance. And then to finish it all off, I think I want to take a look at both defenses, because obviously defenses do play a big role, on a team, because it's half the team. So the Chiefs have a top 10 defense. They're ranked 8th in the NFL, allowing only 21.6 points per game, while the Packers have the 17th best defense, allowing 24.8 points per game. So obviously, Aaron Rodgers has to make up a lot for, sort of the weakness of this Packers defense. Aaron Rodgers constantly has to put up lots of points, for the Packers to pull out these victories. So I think if you gave Aaron Rodgers the Chiefs defense, I think the Packers probably would have only lost like 1 game so far this season. So overall, sort of to finish off this video, I would say personally that Aaron Rodgers is my MVP, at least so far. Of course, we've got 3 weeks left. Partly because when you take a look at the defense, when you take a look at the supporting cast, I think that, Mahomes has the advantage over there. Because if you took Aaron Rodgers off the Packers, I don't know how good the Packers would be, honestly. Where if you took Patrick Mahomes off of the Chiefs, I think they would be better overall than the Green Bay Packers, which I think just sort of shows just how good Aaron Rodgers is and sort of how much he does carry this Packers team. But those are my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts down below. So let me know your opinions and sort of why you think that. I'd be curious to hear all your guys' thoughts. But if you guys enjoyed it, make sure you like the video down below. And if you want to see some more NFL content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Oh, and also before I go, I know I talked about starting my Madden channel soon. Unfortunately, I have to get some more software before I can sort of allow that to happen. So I'm probably going to have to put that on the back burner for right now until probably a little bit later in the future when I sort of, can get that software. So just want to let you guys know that. But that's going to be all for today, and I'll see you guys on the next video.